Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, kings and queens of the land. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, the royals. Good morning to the liberated zones in Africa. Good morning to Burkina Faso, led by President Ibrahim Traore, to Mali, led by President Assimi Goita, and to Niger, led by President Abdurrahman Tian. Good morning to the liberated zone in the British colony, South Africa. Good morning to KZN, which is led by President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, leading the MK party, liberating KwaZulu-Natal. Good morning to the people of KwaZulu-Natal and good morning to everybody. My name is Mngoni Mkonto. This is the Royal Opinion. Let me say thank you first to all the people who are subscribing in my channel and who are liking and also sharing the content of the Royal Opinion. Please let's share more with others and let's talk more with others. Let's like um, the lessons so that more people can actually have access to this. Today we are talking about the reason President Zuma took the peaceful approach rather than war uh, in the Sahel states. The three lions of the Sahel states have taken power using force, using the language of the colonizer, which is the gun, the language of the mafia government, which is the gun. They have taken government using force. But in South Africa, President Zuma is insisting that we should be patient and we should wait for the processes to unfold. Difficult as it may, I want to talk about why does President Zuma choose to take this approach even though it's painful. This kind of approach, white people thought it was actually impossible um, for anyone to dare take that road because the road of peace have got a lot of, they've got, they control the whole system. They control the media, they control the politics, they control the propaganda, and they also control the voting mechanism that we have in across the world. The mafia governments do control, but Zumaism is means the end of politics. President Zuma wants to end politics, and he wants black people to have leaders, not politicians, because politicians are those who were placed by colonizer to supervise the colonial state and the colonial administration, and to ensure that the colonial administration can run its affairs using the local resources and exploiting the local labor and exploiting the local people. That's what is happening at the moment. The colonial administration in South Africa, the colonial administration of the British ran by Ramaphosa in South Africa. That's what we have as government in place at the moment. President Zuma wants to take over power and demolish the colonial structures and power in order to install the government of the people, for the people, by the people. That's what President Zuma wants seek to do. And he decided to take the approach of peace instead of the approach of fighting. Uh, it's very, very important. There is a reason why President Zuma took this road. But let me first um, comment about an issue that would actually let us understand why President Zuma took the approach. Uh, in South Africa, government is outsourcing services from service providers, different services from service providers. Among the services, maybe that's the one that we need to focus on. Among the services that government is outsourcing is security services. There's cleaning services. There's quite a lot of services. Outsourcing of services from companies by government, it's actually a good thing. It helps the local people to participate in the economy by working with government, because the government is the biggest sourcer of services in the communities. So people depends on government. So when government source services, outsource services from the business people, then the businesses in that place, in those places, will grow. Outsourcing of the cleaning services, it's one of those things that I would uh, prefer. It should continue, because that encourages, when you, whatever you are outsourcing. Let me first mention this comment. Whatever you are outsourcing from the community, it grows. If you outsource cleaning services, you are going to have more cleaning companies in the community. If you outsource police services, you're going to have more police companies in the community. If you outsource security services, you're going to have more security companies in the community. So the mistake that the government has done, they decided to outsource. Not necessarily that it's a mistake, because this is a colonial administration. They wanted it that way. They decided to outsource security services. These security services, at the start, when they were outsourcing the security services, it was okay, because they were not armed. They were only using some. They were standing at the gate, and nothing was happening. The security companies were not armed, and the rules of the security did not allow them to be so armed in public. So when the security companies, because the government has decided to outsource the security services, then more security companies were formed in the community. Having more security companies in the community, then it creates more people going around with guns openly. They've got now power to hold bigger rifles, even bigger than the ones that the government or the police are holding. So these security companies have become bigger than the government. Even the government officials themselves are afraid of these security companies. The security companies are formed mostly by those who know how to commit crime, and mostly about the taxi industry. The taxi industry is one of the people who've got a lot of security companies. So these security companies, now are used to um, basically to bid. Those are the ones that are now bidding for power. If you are in power and you don't have a security company, then you are a weak leader, because now what works is when they go to the briefing sessions for these tenders, it's actually a parade uh, for the security companies to show who's got the bigger guns and the more expensive cars. So because of this, the government have been feeding the monster, and the monster has been growing. The security companies have grown even bigger than the government police or even the army. Um, so the black companies, security companies, have become mafias which are bigger than the police, which the police can no longer control. The police are actually under the government of the mafia. So the police cannot really control this war, because anyone who dare to say anything can be eliminated immediately. So we're talking about the construction mafia due to the amount of guns that have that are circulating in society. People walking around freely, holding rifles, bigger rifles than you can imagine. The mayors now, when they go to the public, you will be afraid, because these people are coming well armed. The mayors are coming very, very armed. Politicians are coming very, very armed when they go to the communities. The communities are even afraid to comment, because when you comment, you can find yourself disappearing because of this mafia kind of security that are actually running government tenders, the 30% mafia or the 30% construction mafia, who exist in almost every part of South Africa. Now we're talking about every part of South Africa. They do have these um, um, mafias, the construction mafias, which are created by outsourcing security services. Because when you outsource the security services, then you give the security companies more money to buy bigger guns than the state can even have, uh, and to have more armed security people than even the state. So when these people are moving, they move like the officials, like they move like the mafia, the colonial mafia, the person who is been put to administer the colonial affairs, moving with the mafia police. Now there's a mafia outside government, which is caused by this basically access to these guns. So, because the people did not really care to understand what would be the impact of outsourcing security services to communities, the impact is giving more access to guns to people who will become more powerful than the state, and who are not going to be controllable. So that's what happened. That's why now the people are killing each other like hell. Today is they say 84%, 84 people are murdered every day in South Africa. 84 people are murdered every day in South Africa. What is the cause of that? It's because people have got access to guns, and they walk openly holding those rifles during the day, uh, I think maybe in the future the security companies will be incorporated to be part of the uh, part of government, because now they've become so very powerful, very very powerful. There's uh, even the state officials are afraid of them. They are the ones who are controlling who should get which tender. Um, especially if the tenders have got bigger amounts, those are the ones that are controlling who should get the tender and who will not get the tender. Let me recognize King Richard Mia saying, morning to all the royal family. I am Richard Mie from Mzinoni Township in Betal, in Pumalanga province. I am glad to catch the class again today. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support, Mr. Richard Mie. And thank you for following the royal opinion. Today we're talking about why President Zuma has decided to take their peaceful approach. So, firstly, I was remarking about the construction mafia or the tender mafia, which was caused. What was the cause of the tender mafia? And now that the monster has been built, how to get rid of the monster, they don't know, because the monster is now controlling which services should be advertised and which companies should actually get the tender. As long as you report to particular people, then you can get those tenders. So it's now even difficult for the state to actually arrest these people, because these are more powerful people than even the state. Anyone who tries to investigate such cases, they will also disappear, or they will also they stand a danger of being gunned down or just disappear without a trace, because this we're talking about very very powerful people, very powerful people who are not even afraid of who are taking lives like they're taking chickens. Chickens live, they're taking out mosquitoes, taking human life like they're taking out mosquitoes like doom. We're talking about people who are not afraid to do such a thing. So this is the condition in which South Africa is. The condition in which South Africa is well armed. President Zuma knows a lot of people who are well armed, who can who can actually help him take over power in South Africa, because the soldier have been disarmed in South Africa. They don't have more that power as such. Uh, they won't be able to seize the country, but the security industry can, and the taxi industry can use their armies, because they are well armed. They can actually dispose government and get in. If the security industry and the taxi industry want to conduct a coup, they can conduct a coup in South Africa and nobody would stand in their way. So um, the reason President Zuma decided to take the peaceful approach, it's because of the consequences of the war. The consequences of the war. Uh, First, more black people are going to be killed in the war. More black young black children and young black women as well are going to be killed in a war, or are going to become casualties of war if that approach is taken. That's the first. That's the first thing. But at the end of the day, there will have to be an agreement after the war. There will have to be an agreement. So if after the war there will have to be an agreement, why can't we agree before fighting? The approach of peace, which means uniting black people to allow themselves to take over power through their unity, to be able to change the constitution, the laws, and to be able to abolish the Roman Dutch law, which is at the top of everything, and to dismantle the colonial administration, to restart the administration in an African way, to decolonize the culture of black people, to decolonize the education, and to decolonize the behavior of the black man or the black young woman. That's what the MK party wants, the approach they want to do. But the approach of unity uh, is the most difficult one, because black people have been divided for thousands of years. The colonizer has ensured that the divide and rule is actually entrenched into the black woman from his husband. They call it liberation. They liberate the black woman from his husband. They liberate the husband from his wife, um, and they liberate the child from the parents, ensuring that all of these people are only controlled by the government. Uh, they liberate the son from the father, so that the father does not have a say in his son, but the government has the say in his son. So there is this approach uh, has caused so much division in black people, without even them realizing how much they are divided. The wife cannot trust the husband cannot trust the wife, the kids cannot trust the children, the husband cannot trust the children, the wife cannot trust the husband to leave him with his children alone. Uh, they have to make sure that there's somebody else who can watch over the children. The father cannot be left with his daughter because he's afraid he may be accused of abuse after when he's left alone with his children. And the children as well are afraid of the father because they think the father is the abuser. So the division has run core into the black family. The division has run into the black, yeah, because that's what they needed to divide. The black family was huge, was a big structure, which was controlled by a single person. So that's what they needed to divide, so that there's no instruction that comes from one person. It's only instruction that comes from uh, um, the government of the colonial administration, will instruct or will tell the children what to do, will also tell the wife how to behave with their husband, and also tell their husband how to behave with the wife, because the wife cannot be trusted and the husband cannot be trusted. That's how divided the divide and rule has gone into in at this dispensation. So the approach of unity, it's very difficult because these people are even divided from their homes. Once the homes are divided, then it's even difficult to unite in an organizational way. The white people knows the amount of money required for people to organize themselves. So they are the ones who are controlling the organizations. They control the political organizations, they control the church organizations, they control every structure of the organization. Kosana Fulani saying, sorry, I'm late. You are late, but you are going to get still to get a lot of information in this session. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much for joining. So they know that if you want to unite in your own way, it's going to be difficult, because if you're going to unite against white people, then uh, they have the money to fund the people inside that organization to dismantle it. They have the money to fund other people outside the organization to come and uh, negatively affect the organization, just like they are doing with the MK part. They have the power, they've got the money, they've got the propaganda tools, uh, and the infrastructure required to mislead people, to avoid unity of black people. So, but the President Zuma took that approach, daring that is going to achieve it. The ANC was formed precisely for to achieve unity of black people in order to uh, at least go and talk to the white people who were united by then, the Afrikaners and the Boers who were united in 1910. The Afrikaners and the Boers decided to unite in 1902. They united to form the Union of South Africa. The Union of South Africa, meaning the two of them uniting to run the colonial administration, the Afrikaners and the British. The British capital was then Cape Town, and the um, Afrikaner capital is Pretoria. Pretoria capital is for the Afrikaners, and Cape Town is for the British. That's why they had these two uh, separately, because it was about sharing the resources of this land by the foreigners. I see you, Mr. Victor Shongwe. Show your message. Further division has been caused by the advertising of life insurance in result in married people killing, resulting in married people killing each other. This time around, the the husband cannot even trust the wife to tell her if he does the life insurance. He does have the life insurance. The husband cannot even trust the wife to tell her about his life insurance. The wife cannot trust the husband to tell him about his life insurance because um, money has become more important than life. People don't understand that human beings are the most important resources of the planet. Human beings are the ones who created money. Human beings are the ones who created everything that exists. So if you've got human beings, you've got everything that you want. But if you've got money, you don't have everything that you want. If you've got human beings on your side, you've got everything that you want because the economy is human beings. Everything that exists and has value is given its value by the people. If people don't buy gold, it will not have value that the gold has now. If people don't buy bread, it will not have the value that it has now. So everything that exists and has value, it's because of human beings. So black people have been changed into thinking that value comes from material. So in that way, they think life is no more important or human life is no more important. They can eliminate human life for papers, and then their life will continue to run very nicely without problems, which is a fallacy. So President Zuma's approach, that's what we are talking about. The Zumaism, that's what we actually talking about. What is President Zuma's approach? President Zuma's approach is the approach of peace. Why does he approach this way? It's because of the consequences of war. That's what I've been trying to elaborate. Uh, Young people who are supposed to make young women pregnant will be sacrificed in the war. During the war, the soldiers create the mentality of killers. They have to create that mentality because if they don't create that mentality, then they won't be able to fight the war. They will have mercy on the people that are supposed to be eliminated. So they have to create that mentality. And once you create that mentality, it's very difficult for you to change it. Even after the war, then you've got group of people who have been militarized and given the thinking that this way is the way of peace. War is a way of peace. Eliminating the enemies is a way of peace. But it's not possible to eliminate the enemies. At the end of the day, you are going to sit down and talk with the people, with the enemies, with the same enemies uh, that you are trying to eliminate. President Zuma's approach is not out of cowardness, it's out of the understanding of the consequences of the war. We can give an example with what is happening in the Sahel. I agree exactly with what is happening in the Sahel, where young people have decided to become mafias and to dispose the mafia government, the mafia colonial administration. But it's like if you achieve power through military power, you will have to sustain your power through the military. And the military, at the end of the day, you need human resources. You need boys who are supposed to, the young men who are supposed to be the one getting married to the young women are going to be sacrificed in the war. In Russia, as we speak now, one more than 1 million people or young men has died in the war in the Ukraine. Now they don't have young people, they don't have young men to marry the young women. The population is in collapse in Russia because of that. They have actually even banned LGBT, what, and all those things. They have banned those things because they say it's extremist, it belongs to extremist organization. What they want to achieve is to increase the population. If a young woman gets pregnant in Russia, the government takes care of the pregnancy, and until birth, the government takes care of the child, because they are in a population crisis because the young men have been sacrificed in the war. The second issue is the young people, when they become militarized, it will be difficult to rehabilitate them to become normal people when the war is over. So you've got guns in the community, you've got uh, military people in the community after the war, who does not know anything except using the guns. And now they have to be good citizens. It's not gonna happen. Another war will broke in, because those people who have been militarized and they only know war, they will not change because now we have defeated the enemy. They will have to find the enemy among themselves, in order to continue to do the things that they know of doing. So all they know is wars. They are going to continue to fight the wars. So the approach of President Zuma is to avoid these things, and also to to ensure that innocent people are not uh, uh, caught as victims in the war, victims, including women and children. They would be caught as victims of war. In any war, there would be other people who are innocent in the war who are going to be eliminated by the merciless soldiers. When they something else, they eliminate all of you. At the end of the day, more innocent people. After the administration, if one child says, this administration has killed my father, or if one child says, this administration, which is currently in power now, my mother was innocent and was bombed, and by whether by mistake or intentionally, then you already have people who are disgruntled in your, and who are dangerous, disgruntled and dangerous. Zumaism means no insult to others. Zumaism means talking only the truth, uh, and talking with the enemies. President Zuma is calling for peace even in the Western Sahara with Morocco, is facilitating peace between Western Sahara and Morocco. The approach of peace that President Zuma wants to take would help to preserve society, will help to have people who will be available as resources after the war. After the war, there won't be casualties of innocent people. After winning, there won't be soldiers who will need to be rehabilitated into the society, which is a very difficult task to do. Some would become uh, uh, what we call those who are hijacking the cars, the heist, who are causing the heist, becoming criminals because they've got the skill of using the gun and the skill of hiding. So you won't have that when we take the Zuma approach. The Zumaism is the supreme approach to taking over power in Africa. Uh, the way of peace is the supreme way of taking over power in Africa. Though the colonial administrations will not allow this to happen, but President Zuma is daring that with the majority that black people have in South Africa, their colonial administration and their colonial armies and their colonial police will not be able to stop the will of the people. That's what President Zuma believes in. And this approach, I really honor his approach because this is a supreme President Zuma. It makes him a supreme leader of black people in Africa, a supreme leader of black people in the world. We may be praising Ibrahim Traore, President Ibrahim Traore, for being fearless and for the approach to fight the enemy head on. But there's a lot of consequences which will be caused by this approach. The consequences which are caused by this approach are very difficult to overcome after that. You are still creating a bleeding society. But the approach of President Zuma, you are no more uh, uh, creating a bleeding society. You are creating a society which will be able to easily move on because there are no victims in the war. It's only victors. His approach is to take over power using the ways in which the colonial master has put to take over power, so that the colonial master does not have a reason to come and with the guns to come and take over power in South Africa. Because if they are given the opportunity, they will come over to South Africa to take over. They were only waiting for the instigators, and now there has never been any instigators coming from black people. That's why Donald Trump decided to take white people as refugees in America so that he can have the reason to come and occupy South Africa because this is a very strategic place. He will have a reason to come and occupy South Africa because he will be coming to rescue the Afrikaners who are being persecuted, according to him, who are being persecuted by South African government. So he's going to um, uh, come into South Africa using his army for that purpose. But President Zuma anticipated them coming over with to fight. So, but when they take that approach, they will be faced with the people. The people are going to be on the side of the MK party and President Zuma. When now the Americans comes and occupy or invade South Africa, the people of South Africa are going to be on the side of President Zuma. But if President Zuma use force, it will be some other people who will be on the side, and some other people, the whole country will be divided. I'm not saying that America will not be able to invade because President Zuma has chosen the way of peace. They will still go on and invade because this is about money, what they love the most, and the exploitation of black people, which they've been enjoying for life, for generations. The trillions of dollars that they have generated from this abuse, they cannot just give it up and allow a black administration to come and take over power and dispose all of their laws and install the kings and the queens of the land back to power. I don't see it happening the way President Zuma is saying. But everybody in South Africa should honor the Zuma approach. The Zumaism is the supreme approach to power. Zumaism is the supreme approach to liberating people. The Zumaism approach is supreme to grow the economy of black people after the war. The Zumaism is supreme to create an environment where black people will be able to practice their culture immediately after the war. This approach is powerful. Let us all say salute to President Zuma. Thank you very much for attending the lecture, and thank you very much for sharing. Please click the like button and subscribe if you are coming here for the first time. Share the content with other people and support the royal opinion.